I do not feel bad for Shannon Sharpe. Actually, nail him to the wall. Men like Shannon Sharpe go after women whose frontal lobe have yet to develop, and then when they prove to you that they are still children, it's how dare she try to manipulate me? How dare she try to get money from me? Why do you think she was fucking with your old ass? No, really. Why would a 19-year-old go after a man in his 50s who she also knows is only here for a good time? Y'all keep doing this. Y'all keep doing it. It keeps happening because y'all have spent y'all years mistreating women. And then because women have dealt with shit their entire life, they're like, that's baggage. No, that's called common sense. Because a woman will no longer allow you to play with her once a woman gets to the point where she's like, wait a minute. That's when y'all want to be like, oh, she got baggage, she got baggage, she got boundaries. And y'all don't want women with boundaries, with self-respect. Y'all want little girls who is going to do whatever y'all want her to do for a little bit of change. You want that phone telling that girl that you're going to choke the shit out of her and that she going to like it. And now she trying to get over on you and you mad. She's in it for money. She's in it for the money. Where y'all problem is, y'all think y'all are bigger than the program. Y'all get so full of yourself that you genuinely think this child wants you for real. Men like that scare me. Because what does a 56-year-old and a 19-year-old have in common? Actually, she's 20 now and he's 56 now. So a 55-year-old and a 19-year-old have in common. What? What do you have to talk about? What life experiences do y'all have to discuss? None. And anytime, and I know men are gonna find their way in their comments like, it's legal. If you have to say it's legal as a way to defend your dating preferences, you're a predator. You're a predator. That's like us saying slavery was bad and y'all be like, well, it was legal. That doesn't make it okay. It used to be legal to beat your wife. It used to be legal to rape your wife. Does that make it okay? I mean, it's legal. Because y'all love to be, she legal, she legal, she legal, she legal. And then you know what I always find so funny? When men get to, when people ask them like, well, if you had a 19-year-old daughter and a man in his 50s wanted to date her, would you be okay with that? Well, I mean, if he was gonna take care of her, and if he was gonna, no, you would not. You would not be okay with that. You would think, man, he is dirty. But for somehow y'all can reason with yourselves and think that that's okay. And don't come in the comments talk about Drea, because I think that whole dirty too. I think age gap relationships, any way you shift them, is disgusting. I think in any relationship where there is a significant difference, whether it be finances or age, there is going to be a level of manipulation. If someone has $0 and someone has millions of dollars, power difference. If someone has decades of life experience and someone barely has any, their frontal lobe, their critical thinking skills have yet to fully develop, there is going to be manipulation involved. And it's not appropriate. Y'all be wanting to date children because if you just wanted to date someone a little bit younger than you, whatever. But if the age gap is bigger than the person's age, the age gap is bigger than the person's age, it's not appropriate. No matter which way y'all try to shake it. Oh, well, he could teach her something. She could get a mentor. Get a mentor. Get a mentor. Get a mentor. Not some dirty old man that wants to do whatever they was doing. And then also, let's tap into the big black baby.
Hey, 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 it's Bud Helmet, and I'm gonna sing a song for you. And Bill's gonna show you a thing or two. You'll have some fun now with me and all the gang, learning from each other while we do our thing. Na, 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 gonna have a good time. Hey, hey,
This is Bill Cosby coming at you with music and fun. And if you're not careful, you may learn something before it's done. Hey, hey, hey.
You know, our community is so juvenile. Okay, I'm just talking about fucking juvenile because, I feel like if you really want to fix a problem, you have to start in your own backyard, right? So it makes sense to start in my own backyard, right? Or what's left of it anyway. Um, Shannon Sharpe is 56 years old. The woman that is currently suing him, pursuing a lawsuit against him is, what, 19 to 20? Or the woman was 19 to 20 during this, her ordeal, quotation marks and said. Right? She's 19. She's a legal adult. I'm the same age as Shannon Sharpe. Okay? I don't recall that I've ever been with a 19-year-old in my 50s. Haven't been with a 19-year-old in my fucking 50s, okay? Ah, man. I feel a way about Shannon Sharpe and shit. I've railed on him in the past for carrying a purse and shit. That's a male purse and shit. Railed on him for that and being an op and shit. I felt bad when Skip Bayless was throwing him under the bus because he couldn't close a deal with some chick that was a makeup artist and shit. He decided to accuse her of being a coal burner and shit by, saying, I know you fucking Shannon Sharpe and shit. And, if he was, none of Skip Bayless' business and shit. Shannon Sharpe's sexual business is no one else's. And he has a NDA for this young lady. He has receipts for this young lady. Right, and now she's a kid because he's a black man. He's a black man, so he's a craven beast. Okay, then woman sent him a text that clearly state that she's into race play and shit. That kind of shit always put me off and shit back in the day. I was like, hey, you need to get the fuck on. Okay, somebody need to do a moonwalk or a reverse moonwalk and but get the fuck out of my face with that stuff. I gotta be honest and shit. Sometimes it's real shitty being like someone's sexual, proclivity. Okay, run into a lot of that bullshit. Don't know what to say about it, but I want to talk about Shannon Sharpe because we had that one. You had the clip that I started with, and you had this woman sitting up here in her Coretta Scott King, her dusty wig. Like running her mouth and shit. And I don't want to tell you everything you said. All the points you made, so what? Okay? So fucking what and shit, okay? She's an adult. Now, if you're going to say that she's not responsible, her frontal lobe is not developed and shit, then I don't want to hear shit in that next presidential election about reproductive rights. Don't tell me shit about that. Okay? Don't tell me shit about nothing. Okay, if she's because he's a black man and she's a woman of another ethnicity and shit. I don't even think she was Caucasian and shit, honestly and shit. But like, if you're gonna make that argument, then you should not be responsible for your reproductive rights or your fucking body and shit, right? When you have an exorbitant amount of money, women come out of the woodwork and shit. Okay, when you have an exorbitant amount of money, sometimes you don't even have to demonstrate or say anything about that shit. They'll just know. Okay, some people, these women want to come into your sphere and get some incriminating, evidence, I guess, and they want to strip you blind. They want to rob you, okay, because they don't want to work for a living. They're dusties. They don't want to do anything. They're ready to use their looks and their body and all of their orifices to get a bag and shit, okay? You never see any of you women talking about that when it's a black man on the chopping block and shit, okay? He got an NDA that involves attorneys, okay? Her attorney has to be present when she signs that motherfucking NDA. That the shit has to be stamped and shit, okay? Alright? You sign that fucking NDA. These things aren't in place. It's just a piece of paper, right? She's suing him because she can't get a bag and shit. Yeah, he's tricking off his money. Why can't he trick off his money? He's 56 years old and wealthy and single. And I guess straight. I'm shocked about that, honestly. You can't trick off his money? You gonna tell us we can't do what we want? You women are always come around here telling us we got to do with our money and our penises and shit and our minds and shit, trying to get in our mind and mind fuckers. I'm tired of the mind fuck game. That's this lady with her dusty Coretta Scott King wig on. If Shannon Sharpe emailed you that same non-disclosure agreement and wanted to bust your shit up and put a dog collar on you and fuck your shit off, you would sign it, okay? You would sign it in a heartbeat, married or not, children or not, you would sign it, okay? You guys want some attention. You live vicariously through these people, even these IG influencers and shit of another ethnicity and shit. You wish it was you and you mad and you bitter. You want to come on here and bitch because you know nobody's gonna send you one of those NDA forms. There's a golden ticket that says you're worth something and shit, okay? Alright, you need to stay in your lane, okay? I understand how you feel about a 56-year-old man fucking a 19-year-old, but you don't talk about all these corporate CEOs that do the same goddamn thing. You the motherfucking president does the same goddamn thing and shit. You rather see everyone in a miserable, codependent, narcissistic relationship, okay? With you on top of the bitch, strapping the motherfucking shit, okay? Alright? I don't want to come on here and defend Shannon Sharpe's op ass, okay? But he deserves his grace and shit, okay? He can fuck a 19-year-old and shit. He has the money and the resources and shit to offer her a better life and shit. And apparently, each one of her cheeks is worth 25 to 50 grand and shit. And he has that money. Okay? He is unmarried. Doesn't seem to have any children or anything and shit. What was he supposed to do with his money and shit? Buy toys with that shit? As a former professional athlete and shit? Okay? A Hall of Famer? He can't do what the fuck he want with his own bag and shit? That's really what it's about. Okay, and I've avoided the I'm paper, you're glue bullshit. I didn't do it, what if this gender, and I'm not gonna do that shit. Y'all need to get busy shutting the fuck up, mind your own goddamn business. Ain't no dick police around here. Okay, I bet you wish you could come in and, I've had women act like that with me. I've had women doing that shit right now in the current 2025 and shit, thinking they're gonna police me or control me and shit. They can't do that. And they're shocked. I trip out, in our ethnic community, supposed, ethnic black community. You get women reacting the most incredible shit. I had been away from home for many years, but, stepping back into it and shit, like walking into Dracula's castle, you're talking to somebody like a normal human being and they get really butthurt and upset and shit. I'm like, what kind of guys are you used to? What kind of males are you used to? I'm a man. Okay, I'm just talking to your ass. We're not having a disagreement and shit. When I'm talking to you at length and shit, you get upset and you want to control what I do and shit with my money, how I raise my fucking kids, who I stick my penis in and shit, and I don't know you from sin, then you can go fuck yourself, okay? I don't care what Shannon Sharpe was doing, race play or not and shit, when none of you can explain the website, and this is me conflating, If you're gonna be upset about Shannon Sharpe, you're not gonna be upset about Bootstrap. Doing this thing with all you dark-skinned lovelies for $1,000 a pop, doing that shit on film for over 25 years. Ghetto gaggers, girls. When you explain that to me, then maybe I'll listen to the Shannon Sharpe argument about how he's fucking with a girl whose frontal lobe is not fully developed. How do you know what her mental health is and shit? How do you know how cognizant she is of what she was before she met Shannon Sharpe? Maybe she came from a privileged family. You don't know where she's at. You would never meet her. You would never be in her sphere. Okay? You would never be good enough to eat crumbs off her table or go get her a drink while she at the club looking for her next victim and shit. Okay? You're just conflating the issue and you're living vicariously. You wish it was you so you could get some money and so that you can get validation that a multimillionaire would even give you a non-disclosure agreement and shit to fuck your shit up. Okay? Alright? You sisters need to y'all need to take a break, man. You need to take this is a bad look, okay? Do better, okay? Putting on my Sam Wilson Falcon suit shit. You do better, sisters, do better. You're not them, okay? You're they, okay? You're the separate race within your own ethnicity and shit. The weakening the race by having that mindset and shit, okay? You take that dusty ass wig off. Now, what do you like? At 30 or something? Fuck you doing wearing that shit? Like some shit from the 60s or something, man. Like Mary Tyler Moore. Why you wearing a white woman's hair on your head? Since you want to talk about Shannon Sharpe and his choice of sexual partner, which has nothing at all the fuck to do with you. Okay? And we're gonna say I didn't shoot from the hip, man. I ain't had no fucking script or nothing. I just came in here, I was watching this shit, and I seen this motherfucker, and I seen this other bitch, this snaggletooth chick that's always running her mouth and shit, who has a dad bod and some big man hands and shit. She running her trap too and shit. I may get around to her later. And I even saw that, I forgot that one really fucked up voice chick that's a chameleon that all the stupid ass content creators keep posting that shit on these, supposed manosphere pages. Dana something. Dana 1988 or 87, that bitch. Yeah, a lot of idiots there posting her shit. And she was shitting on black men all throughout the pandemic, calling us uncles, saying we have missing teeth and we on our walkers chasing underage girls and shit. Now she's cool now, right? She's cool like Pearl. I gotta get the fuck off here, man. I'm about to go on a tangent and shit. What Shannon Sharpe does with his penis, legally speaking, is none of anyone's fucking business and shit. None of you people have anything to say about Woody Allen and Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis and shit. I forgot the one motherfucker's name from the 80s who has a videotape him banging a 16-year-old and shit. Rob Lowe. A bunch of other motherfuckers. The dude that was 50 and married a 16-year-old girl and shit in Hollywood gala wedding, and bought her some gigantic breast implants, even though she was 16 and shit. I can keep going and shit, You don't have anything to say about any of these white personalities, but on top of all that bullshit, I make a big fucked up cake out of it for you black women to eat. Cause you eat cake, motherfucker. Get your nose out of Shannon Sharpe's drawers and shit, unless you gonna eat the groceries over there while you hitting that white shit. You put Bootstrap as the candle. Bootstrap, the personification of accountability for dark-skinned black women mostly. Okay, did you gonna explain ghetto gaggers? I don't want to hear nothing about Shannon Sharpe, okay? Go fuck yourself. I don't care how it turns out. How about that? I'm gonna do the black woman thing and ignore shit, okay? I'm gonna just say we don't have all the facts. But we do know she's a gold digger. We know she's into race player shit. We know she eats the groceries and engages in malfeasant, disgusting sexual activities. And I cry for young kings and shit because, any of you guys gonna try dating, in the West and everything. Just think of the women you're meeting and, you might get lucky and shit and you might kiss them or something. How do you know she hasn't had her tongue in someone's back door? That is disgusting. Okay, just think all the fucked up shit a chick did sexually or physically, besides her outward, presentation. Just think all that shit you don't know she probably did with some other motherfuckers. Specifically, shit like race play and, weird ass our word fantasies and all that kind of shit. Okay, when you're a young black man and shit out in this world, you gotta be careful and keep your head on a swivel. Okay, because a lot of people they watch all this fucked up media and shit, and that includes adult movies and all that bullshit, and they get the wrong fucking idea about us that we're human beings too. They objectify us and shit, and then criminalize us at the same fucking time and shit, based on a narrative we don't own, we don't produce and shit. Shannon Sharpe is he's a professional athlete, retired professional athlete, living his best life, single, no kids and everything, and he can spend his money however he likes and shit. You don't have a say in that shit. I'm sure you would line your Birkin bag, your fake Birkin bag from China with that shit. Okay, now I don't give a fuck. I think a man has a right to use his body parts as he sees fit and shit. And if you disagree, then you don't have a right to your own physical autonomy. It's not your body, not your fucking choice. Okay, kiss my ass.
The Black Patriarchy. A non-existent group of fictional black male power brokers not discredited, erroneously jailed or outright killed by the minority majority who look the other way as they work tirelessly to shame, oppress, and outright take out the altruistic black female populace of the honorable democratic United States of America. 3K's inset bitches. These evil wealthy members of the black patriarchy are the sole reason for all the ills of the black community, walking, talking, holding down jobs, and doing everything up to and including giving their very lives in service to their baby mamas and baby's motherfucking kids. Their motto that strikes fear into the hearts of black women everywhere: bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.